We begin in Kenya, where President William Ruto has just delivered a televised address one day after massive protest against a finance bill that would have raised taxes. Nearly 24 people are reported to have lost their lives in clashes as police opened fire on demonstrators attempting to storm Parliament in Nairobi and set it on fire. The target of their anger, those ongoing tax hikes that many say are making life increasingly unaffordable. Ruto withdrawing the bill, calling for a new national conversation with the country's youth, especially on how to move forward with regards to Kenya's mountain of debt in particular. Let's take a listen to Ruto here.
Having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024 and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill.
And for more on this story, we can cross live now to France 24 correspondent Olivia Bizo from Nairobi. Olivia, tell us a bit more about what Ruto said and why he felt compelled to make this U-turn.
Yes, it's huge news in Kenya. In his speech, President William Ruto said he would not sign the bill. That's what thousands of protesters, tens of thousands of protesters even yesterday had been calling for. He also gave his condolences to the people who were killed during the protests and to their families. He said that 6 people were killed, but the Human Rights Commission has confirmed the death of 23 people and has said that that number is very likely to rise to up to 50 people. He also said that he will have a conversation with civil society, with religious groups and with members of the youth. They're the ones who have been driving these protests. And he said that he would have a nationwide conversation with them in order to decide together on the path that this country will take moving forwards. He also said that he's going to announce immediate measures to reduce the presidency's expenditures. That is definitely going to be welcomed by the protesters. So the move to not sign this bill will definitely be welcomed by a lot of Kenyans. And it's also quite unexpected. People that I spoke to this morning didn't expect him to make this U-turn. But because of the high number of deaths during the protest, it's difficult to imagine another option.
Indeed, Ruto definitely trying to make a conciliatory gesture after that day of violence yesterday with so many tragic deaths. What has been the ambience there in Nairobi the day after those protests?
Well, I think this speech will definitely shift the mood of a lot of Kenyans. It's too early to tell if people are still going to take to the streets tomorrow. A massive protest was organised tomorrow and on Friday. This morning, I was in the Nairobi Central Business District where a lot of the protests took place yesterday. And the destruction was really visible everywhere. Glass had shattered all over most of the roads. A lot of shops had been destroyed. There was a smell of tear gas in the air. Everyone was sneezing and was wearing masks. And people were incredibly angry still because President William Ruto did make a speech last night. But in that speech, he didn't mention the finance bill and only called the protesters criminals. And in that speech last night, he said that he would mobilise all of the government's forces to ensure security. There were army personnel and trucks everywhere in Nairobi this morning. But it's difficult to know now whether people are still going to take to the streets tomorrow now that he has said he will not sign that finance bill. So we'll definitely have to see how this situation develops.
Indeed, a marked change of tone from Ruto between last night and today. Obviously, a developing story. We will be keeping a close eye on it